of Asafo Chuma Asafo, reporting live from the belly of the beast. This is Assassination U.S.A. In the wake of the very public assassination of ultra-right-wing mouthpiece Charlie Kirk at a Utah college gathering, the wheels have begun to spin. To paint him as a martyr for the cause, a patron saint of white American conservative idealism, which explains why his political and evangelical benefactors are now attempting to advance his ivory-coated political dogma to national discourse. But why? Let's get into it. On paper, Charlie Kirk was billed as a mere white conservative political activist, and though not an elected official, the organization he founded, Turning Point U.S.A., serves as a de facto recruitment arm of Donald Trump and J.D. Vance's version of the Republican Party, with its primary target audience being found on some of the most prestigious college campuses in the United States. This should be seen as a tactical move in a larger strategic plot to consolidate power, absolute power. Enter Rockbridge Network, a sort of shadow group founded in 2019 by J.D. Vance and Chris Buskirk, which describes itself as a sort of political venture capital firm whose stated goal is to bring together wealthy investors to swap out the current political landscape for a more austere and refined kleptocracy. And what better than an assassination to expedite such an audacious plot? In fact, historically, the art of well-orchestrated assassinations has marked many periods of radical shifts in the political direction of the country. Only this time it is within the context of a dying colonialism, which perhaps makes it that much more dangerous. To be clear, colonialism isn't necessarily dying a natural death, for the fissures and cracks manifesting themselves in its core body politic are being caused by the space of resistance from the Third Estate, the oppressed masses, whose colonization has apparently run its course. It is well known that the American empire has a sordid history of imprisoning, forcing into exile, and outright assassinating anyone who spoke up for the colonized class, as with the cases of George Jackson, Fred Hampton, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Bunchy Carter, Medgar Evers, Malcolm X, and many others, as well as engaging in the character assassinations of other black leaders such as Robert F. Williams, Queen Mother Moore, Elijah Muhammad, Ella Baker, Assata Shakur, Marcus Garvey, just to name a few. So seeing the spirits of these martyrs rise up in the generations that followed, as was illustrated in the resurgence of radical black activism and expressed in hip-hop culture, the evil empire resorted to its old playbook. But this time, instead of bombs, bullets, and blades, it constructed and weaponized mis- and disinformation to effectively assassinate the minds of the denizens of the black ghetto, thereby not only killing their potential for resistance, but setting them on a collision course of the black-on-black self-destruction we're seeing today. And with the government's hand hidden from plain view, it became prime fodder for someone like Charlie Kirk to scapegoat black and brown peoples as lone agents of their own undoing, while concurrently deriding black healers, scholars, and activists as black identity extremists, even advocating the defunding of HBCUs, bans on critical race theory, the so-called woke movement, as well as the banning of black books and other radical voices, all while being given the green light to unleash his Turning Point doctrine on the next generation of white supremacist aspirants. And in this vein, Charlie Kirk's assassination, like those long before his, has seemingly created the perfect political storm. And not only for mere racial pride or any other superficial notions, but to reposition colonialism on the political landscape. Toward this end, the Manchurian candidate, Donald Trump, has already been selected, replete with his very own fabled assassination attempts. The test runs have been in play for some time now. The Charlottesville, Virginia incident, the Michigan State Capitol display, the KKK cosplay in Philadelphia and other cities around the country, the January 6, 2021 storming of the U.S. Capitol in D.C. by those who vowed to keep the oath to his white supremacist manifest destiny, no less. This was to first identify and then reignite the base that has been lying dormant for decades. And now, with the mass deportations of so-called illegals, the construction of virtual black site prisons, the beefed up police and National Guard presence in U.S. urban centers, the economic downturn and other state manufactured crises, the stage is being set to justify the implementation of martial law, to effectively suspend local and national elections and other constitutional rights. But how does this fit into the bigger picture? Unlike the old school Cold War tactics it once used, which carried out the assassinations of Patrice Lumumba in the Congo, Amilcar Cabral in Guinea-Bissau, Thomas Sankara in Burkina Faso, Hugo Chavez in Venezuela, and many others around the world, the neo-colonial method is being refined to give America an imperialist leg up on its international competitors, which, as it stands, remains principally Russia and China. But how does the U.S. intend to stave off what it considers quote-unquote white replacement? For starters, in response to whites' negative sum population growth, which has been attributed to interracial coupling, homosexuality, abortion, etc., they have rolled back Roe v. Wade and now oppose the gay rights they once coveted, and have ramped up state violence against black and brown communities, with their corporate-owned media cronies and law enforcement agencies following in lockstep. And when we add to this the hyper-politicized revisionist version of Christianity that's being superimposed over all other ideological positions and cultural systems, which, by the way, was embodied by Charlie Kirk, it gives us a sort of thumbnail sketch of the latest political ploy being advanced to not so much make America great again, but as a last-ditch effort to prolong the life of a fading colonialism. Surely the attempt to raise Charlie Kirk's stature to that of a political Christ-like figure, and thus his assassination or crucifixion, is a telling sign of colonialism's last gasp for air. And if Kirk's Turning Point U.S.A. in conjunction with J.D. Vance's Rockbridge Network is supposed to be a modern take on 4th century Emperor Constantine's Council of Nicaea, then their intentions are clear. But where does this leave the rest of us? Since history has proven the maxim, repression breeds resistance, to be true, then there's always hope. In fact, in the last several decades or so, there has been a significant uptick in cultural and political consciousness not seen since the 60s and 70s, along with a spirit of stiff resistance to state terror in all of its various forms and manifestations. The question before us now is, can we bring solidarity to the many black radical groupings, organizations, formations, and sharpen them into a single revolutionary point to carve a real path forward to a true liberation and black self-determination? This question will ultimately have to be answered both at the round table and in the field. In this way, we can take notes from Brother Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso and the leaders of Niger and Mali, which forms the Sahel Alliance. Also, we must not forget that insurgent scholar Dr. Amos Wilson has given the Pan-African community a blueprint for Black Power, along with an extensive body of work to both heal our communities and to give us, or to guide us into the future, which entails that we seize on any crises that plagues the system that oppresses us. And so, if Charlie Kirk's assassination is the political windfall conservative pundits predicts it to be, it will in turn sharpen the contradictions which can be likewise weaponized to unify the critical mass of the oppressed. We must seize the moment. Ow!